Today, we are going to be talking all about my luxury eyeshadow palette collection. This is a tag that was initially done by Ali Glines and Samantha March, and my friend Morgan Turner did her own rendition, basically solely focusing on luxury eyeshadows. So this was a tag I really wanted to get behind. Because my channel is solely high-end and luxury, I do feel like I have a lot to chat about with this one, so this one's gonna be super fun. I really hope you guys enjoy it, and let's get started. So Morgan put all of the questions in her video. I will link her video as well as the original creators, Ali and Samantha's videos, in the description box. But the first question that Morgan put for this luxury eyeshadow tag is the most luxurious packaging. So this is going to be interesting. You guys probably already know based on my collection what I'm going to pick for this one, but I would say the palette that has the most luxurious packaging from my collection is definitely the Pat McGrath Labs Divine Rose palette. If you guys didn't hear, she did release a second series or a second palette in this Divine Rose collection. This is the first one. So we do have the first one here. This is super stunning. I really, really love the packaging of this, like I said. So this is the perfect answer to the most luxurious packaging. The front of it has a very sleek, like Pat McGrath kind of look here. It's very heavy in the hand. And then on the back, you can see it's like gold reflective, basically. So this is a beautiful luxury packaging, and I would hope so because this baby is super expensive. The Divine Rose 2, I hope I was able to snag. Let me know down below if that was something that you were able to get, but I'm really unsure if I even got one or not because I did order one, then it got canceled, then I ordered again, and it hasn't been confirmed or anything. I got an email that says order received and then an email that said order confirmed, but for two different orders. It's really, really messed up. So I hope I got it. I certainly didn't get the pink lacquer packaging. That was something I missed out on because that was the one I ordered that got canceled. So let me know down below if you got that palette. That will be a future review on this channel. The next question in this palette tag is the least luxurious packaging. The least luxurious, I would say, definitely has to go to this one. This is a mini palette from Natasha Denona. So I don't actually blame her for kind of making the packaging of this a little bit less luxurious compared to some of her more expensive palettes because she's trying to keep the price low for this one. But this is mini nude. And I would say this one is the least luxurious just because of how simple it is. So this one is like a plastic white packaging with a see-through plastic, basically, lid over it or cover. So you can see that. It's just a piece of plastic over top of it. The eyeshadows themselves are great, but the packaging is very lightweight, plasticky. Again, I'm not blaming her for doing this. This is kind of like her version of cheaper, more affordable palettes in her line where she's not compromising on quality, although some of the minis are not so good, but the mini nude is definitely good, so that you can rest assured about. But this is one that I think out of everything I own just doesn't have that sparkle or that luxurious quality, but I'm not blaming it. Now, question number 3 is the palette that I believe is worth every penny. This is going to be a palette that you've seen in my other eyeshadow palette tag, but I did have to mention it again because this is one that I do think is absolutely worth the money and one that I think is truly unique and something that you can invest in and be proud of, and the quality of it will deliver as well, which is so important. This is the Natasha Denona Gold palette. Like I said, I've talked about this before, but I think that the uniqueness of this palette makes it stand out, and the fact that she has done gold so well in this palette. Looking at the palette like this isn't going to do it justice, honestly. So I'm going to swatch some of these golds so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Here are just some of the golds in here. I mean, you can just see we've got tons of different golds from like brownie to yellowy. We've got like champagne, we've got duochrome. The one at the far right is one of my favorites, but as you can see, these are the types of golds that range in this palette, and they are absolutely stunning. So this is a palette that I think is incredibly well done. You do have all of the gold textures, finishes, duochromes, shimmers, mattes, like the mattes complement really, really well. I would say this is definitely something that if you are into gold in any shape or form is absolutely worth the investment. The next question is the palette that is not worth the price. Now, I'm going to say this one because this is not one that's in my collection currently. It has been decluttered. I will put a picture of this type of palette up in my video somewhere here so you can see it, but the Pat McGrath palettes that are the 6-pan packaging built right into the palettes. Those, you guys, are, in my opinion, not worth the money. I absolutely think that you should save your money. If you were going to spend it on that kind of a palette, save it, build that up a little bit more so you can get one of her 10-pan beautiful lacquer palettes instead. What I mean by that is one of these. So save your money and get this one instead, because the matte quality for sure, I believe, is way different in the packaging ones that have the packaging built right into them. What I mean by that is it has like a beautiful artwork of like a cardboard packaging that kind of tri-folds over the package. So you've got like, you know, folds like a book sort of over the eyeshadow. And that is one, you guys, that for some reason the mattes, every single time I've purchased those ones, they just aren't as rich and creamy. And that just might be me, but it's just not the same quality in my opinion. I would much rather wait and save it for a larger one. It's really too bad because the artwork is beautiful and some of the shimmers I've come across in those palettes are fantastic, but the mattes were very difficult to work with. Next, we have the brand that I have the most eyeshadow palettes from. Now, this is really fun because I thought for sure it was going to be Charlotte Tilbury. It actually isn't, which is really, really funny. Charlotte Tilbury has 7, so they are in second place, but the first place is actually Natasha Denona. I did do a big declutter recently in my eyeshadow palette collection where I did end up looking at all of my palettes and seeing which ones I had that I didn't see myself using a ton and passing them off to friends before they expired. So I did do a whole bunch of that recently, and even still, I did give some Charlottes away, I did give some Natashas away, but I still have the most from Natasha Denona. The first one being gold. As you can see right here, the gold palette I already showed you guys, but I'm gonna show you guys again. This is gold with regards to Color Story. Palette number 2 from her is Mini Nude. This is the other one that I've shown you already as well. Love this Color Story for every single day. It's just really easy. Palette number 3 is Mini Gold. This is also one that I have from Natasha, and you can see here another 5-pan beautiful palette that I think is so cute. Next we have another mini. This is Mini Retro from Natasha Denona. You can see here the beautiful spring colors in this one. This one I think is so pretty as well. Next I have Sunrise. So this is one when she first came out with kind of like the midi palette. This I believe is one of the first ones that came out with that style. And this is Sunrise inside, super gorgeous. Next palette I have is Sunset. This is one of her original palettes, closer to the beginning of her line when she first started it. This is Sunset inside, super gorgeous. I'm actually one that really likes this packaging. I know lots of people prefer the plastic, but I really, really like this one. Next, we have the All Neutral palette. This is Biba from Natasha Denona. As you can see, this one has the plastic packaging, which some people prefer. The packaging is still nice on this, but I think I would actually prefer the other style packaging for some reason. I think I might be the only one. Lastly, palette number 8 is Leela. This is actually the one that I am wearing today, and I'll show you the inside of this one because it's so pretty. I love this one so, so much. We do have some cooler tones in here, and the shimmers pack a punch. They're so beautiful. My favorite is down here, actually in the corner. This is one of my favorites. I'm wearing this one today with this guy in the corner, and then I also have Magnolia, which is right here, a little bit in the center. So beautiful. The next question, or question number 6, is the brand that you own the least palettes from. Now, when I was doing my declutter, there were quite a few expired palettes from this brand, so now they are the least amount that I have, and that is Tom Ford. So currently, I only have 2 Tom Fords in my collection left. They are the newer ones that I've recently purchased. Quite a few of them were expired. So the first one that I'll show you is Honeymoon. This is palette number 1 from Tom Ford that I have. I absolutely love this one. You can see the tones on my eyes are similar to this palette too. So this is also a color scheme that I'm very drawn towards. Just preference-wise, I really, really whoop. Just preference-wise, I really, really love this color story. The second one from Tom Ford is Body Heat. This one is also super beautiful. You can see this one has cooler tones in here. I really love this one as well. This is one of my newer ones from him. There's one that I definitely decluttered that had a color story I thought I would like, but I ended up passing it along, and then there were a few that were expired. So unfortunately, I had to throw those ones out, but this one, wow. I think Tom Ford has gorgeous palettes. Now, speaking of Tom Ford, we do have that as an answer to the next question, which is your first luxury palette. Looking back, you guys, my first ever luxury palette was Tom Ford Nude Dip. That was a quad that I used to own, and that is now a quad that has been expired. It was long expired. It definitely had to be, unfortunately, disposed of because it was years and years in my collection. I am not one of the people that likes to keep eyeshadow for too long. I know that some people differ in that opinion, but for me, once they're like 5+ years, like they're gone, guys, like no. So that's just me. If you don't like to throw your palettes out, that's okay. But for me, this one was the one that I ended up buying first when I thought about luxury eyeshadow and I thought about the very, very first, like most expensive palette. Definitely Tom Ford Nude Dip. It was so beautiful, very everyday friendly. I loved it. Next, we have your newest luxury palette. Now, this is one, you guys, that I would say like the newest eyeshadow palette to my collection is the Urban Decay Naked Heat, but since we're talking about luxury today, this is my newest luxury one. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Instant Eye Palette. So essentially this is the 12-pan palette that she expanded her Pillow Talk collection into, including more eyeshadows. And this is a gorgeous color story. I love the packaging of this. It's a beautiful reflective gold, but here we have beautiful pinks to choose from, some browns, like some neutrals. I mean, Charlotte does pink really well. I think that's one thing that we can all kind of agree on. She has every shade of pink on the rainbow, basically, but this is a beautiful palette too, one that you can put looks together really easily. So this is definitely my newest luxury palette. Next, we have your most expensive luxury palette. This one is going to go to Divine Rose once again from Pat McGrath. This one, you guys, I know when people talk about like most expensive when it comes to like price per gram or something like that, I'm not talking about that or complicating this question too much today. More so it's going to be just like how much money was a single palette. Definitely this one. There are more expensive palettes. The Natasha Denona 28-pan ones are more expensive, but this one right now is my most expensive because I don't have a 28-pan from her. And I think in Canadian dollars, the 28 pans are close to 200, if not over, which is really steep. Like Pat McGrath ones are 200 with taxes and everything. It's insanely expensive, but going over that to a 28 pan from Natasha Denona, wow, that is certainly an investment. One that I may make in the future, but one I haven't made yet. Next, we have the luxury palette with the best value. This is a very interesting question because to me, I think that the best value one has got to go to this guy, which you may be surprised by. So once again, I'm going to pull out Leela for you, the palette that I'm wearing today. This, you guys, has the best value for me and my preferences. It's going to depend really when you think about eyeshadow, what your preferences will be, like what colors you tend to wear, things like that. If people are more neutral and everyday friendly, they really might go for Biba, something like this that's really expensive but have all your workplace friendly, you know, shadows. But I like this type of color story. I'm gravitated towards purple, pinks, a little bit of gold, like shimmery purple champagnes. This is a beautiful palette that I think has given me quite a bit of good value because I wear it a ton and because the integrity of the palette, like over time, has stayed really strong. It's been a couple years now with this guy. I was kind of thinking about like how long have I had it because I don't want it to expire on me or anything. It may actually already be, but so far there are no signs of that, so I'm gonna keep it for now. Like the lightest tap of your brush and you get such pigment with this palette. And because the shades go super well together as well, you can do looks really easily with this. You can create stuff so fast compared to some other palette stories that are a little bit more bold and they kind of jump between colors a little bit. This one is just so cohesive and it's just so easy for beginners, like really anyone. And I definitely got a lovely return by how much I love it and how much I use it. Question number 11 is the most used and abused luxury palette. It's definitely this one from Charlotte Tilbury, which is the Luxury Quad in Pillow Talk. This is one of my absolute favorite palettes because of how easy it is to put a look together. The pinks in this give a nice, like, beautiful pink flush to the lid. They're not super bold or anything, so you can wear them anywhere, in my opinion. And then the shimmer pop you can wear wherever too. It's not super, super strong. It all depends on how you apply it. If you want it a little bit lighter than like a light sparkle, if you want to actually put your finger in and really swipe it across the lid, you can make it more intense. This is a really beautiful palette. I will say though, I do have a trick because the pop shade tends to get hard pan from time to time. So make sure you put a piece of tape over it, like some clear tape, and just gently lift some of the hard pan off. Basically, it's a little bit of two things. The compression of the powder into the pan when you're pushing it with your finger and kind of applying it. Also the mix with your like oils off of your finger. So a light layer of the tape, just kind of removing that lightly, will help fluff it up again. Definitely a tip I have with this one because they are so expensive, and that is often the question I get with these. This is a luxury eyeshadow tag, but I'm kind of gonna bend the rules a little bit and include a high-end palette in here as my second most abused palette, because this one I do think I've mentioned before to you guys, but this was my everyday palette before, so it is very used and abused, but still a fave. This is Soft Glam from Anastasia Beverly Hills. The color story in here is beautiful because you do have the depth in the other corner and then the lightness in the far left. Plus you have all the shimmers to work with and some cool tones. This is a fantastic bridal palette and one that I think you can easily put looks together too. When this first was released, I was all over it. I used it all the time. And now this has got to be one of my oldest palettes in my collection currently because of my declutter. Like I said, I was able to get rid of quite a few, but this might be one of my oldest ones, and it's definitely been well loved and appreciated. So that was one I also wanted to share with you guys as well. The next question is the luxury palette with the best mattes. I'm gonna say for this one, Natasha Denona is gonna win again, and I'm gonna pull out Biba for this one. So the mattes in this, you guys, so nice. They are creamy, they're buildable, they're very, very like work friendly, office friendly, wherever you work. I feel like you can really put looks together with this one. They're very easy to apply, and that is something that when I look for a luxury palette, sometimes I think luxury brands will cater to more of an expert level or incorporate techniques for best application to an expert, probably because I'm thinking the rationale might be because those people that are spending that kind of money on makeup may have a skill level that it's above beginner level maybe. But to be honest with you, I love luxury palettes that will cater to everyone. And this is a palette that I think she did a really good job on because it does do that. So these are super easy to work with. Like I said, very everyday friendly, but I love that it caters to the beginner as well because the beginner also wants to splurge and spoil themselves with something a little expensive from time to time, and they don't want to worry about not being able to use it properly. So definitely the best mattes go to Biba. Let's talk about the luxury palette that has the best shimmers. This one is super tough to me because I really think it's a tie between the Pat McGrath Special Formulas and Natasha Denona Gold, because she does have really good shimmers in there, but we did talk about that one already. So I'm going to give this one to Divine Rose, although I did talk about that one already too. So let's talk about this one, I would say, as some of the best shimmers. This is her Quad. This is the Pat McGrath Quad, and I don't remember what this one is because it doesn't have a freaking name on it, but this is one that has the roses in it. So basically what I'm trying to highlight here is I would say the best shimmers go to Pat McGrath's Special Formulas. She has quite a few of these in her palettes, and they do make a full appearance usually in her 10 pans. Not all of them make an appearance in all the 10 pan palettes. These also have all the shimmer formulas that she offers, and these are a good kind of supplement if you want to just get the special formula but you don't have the money yet, or you don't want to spend the money yet on a big 10 pan palette of hers. So this is really, really stunning. I'm going to swatch them for you because they do offer very different shimmers. Like the shimmers are beautiful. I will say expect some fallout. Most of them fall a little bit on the lid. I don't think I've really come across one that doesn't have any at all. So this is the Pat McGrath one. You can see here it's super stunning. They work beautiful as toppers. Absolutely love this. These are the formulas that I think make Pat McGrath special, at least partly, because she has some really beautiful shimmer formulas. I would say though that if you aren't going to be investing in the gold palette, that is also a shimmer range that you won't be disappointed in. Next, we have the palette that inspires me the most. This, you guys, varies so much. I don't have a palette that I just consistently feel like it inspires me the most above all of them. It really depends on my mood, how I'm feeling, what I'm thinking about, what color palette I really want to work with that day. So that's really tough. But what I'm going to pick for this question is actually one palette that we haven't talked about yet, just for something a little bit different and something that I think has lost a ton of traction because it's been out for quite some time and people forget about it. So this is one that continually inspires me whenever I pick it up, like off and on, definitely. And this is a high-end palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is Sultry. This, you guys, is a beautiful cool tone palette that I think really inspires me to do something different on my eyes because, you know, I'm kind of stuck in my ways from time to time. But I love the cool tones of this because this gives me something different, but also gives me the same types of colors I'm used to, but with a bit of a twist. So we have some of the shimmers that are a little bit cooler, a little bit deeper, a little bit more silvery. So, so pretty. And I think that all of these colors go really beautifully with darker eyes as well, which is why I gravitate towards this and I'm really excited when I use it. This palette has definitely lost some traction recently just because of how old it is and really how fast the industry pushes out new product, if I'm honest. But this is certainly not a palette that I have forgotten about because I think this one is so stinking beautiful, and the Anastasia Beverly Hills formula is fantastic. Next, let's talk about the palette that is out of my comfort zone. I would say this one is definitely out of my comfort zone, and it is a little mini, so that is something that makes it a little bit easier to have in my collection and try using because it's something that I know looks beautiful when I put the effort in, but I think some of the colors kind of freak me out. Maybe just one of them, actually. I'll show it to you guys. This is Mini Gold from Natasha Denona. Now, the dark purple kind of color is what intimidates me the most out of this. Otherwise, this is a palette that I'm okay with, but I think because of the fact that it has the gold, the blue, the green with that like darker color, this one is the most out of my comfort zone as a whole. Some of you might think that's kind of sad, but I'm used to certain colors. I'm used to going a little bit lighter. Sometimes I feel like with certain formulas, my blend isn't always the best, and being on YouTube, sometimes that can be pointed out to me pretty quick. So I remind myself that I do have some good skill, and if I'm patient with it, it will look beautiful. So I just have to let all the haters kind of slide off of me because makeup is supposed to be fun, and if it's not perfect, most of the time it isn't, I'm gonna be honest. The last question, number 16, is the luxury brand you want more palettes from. This is going to be a question I'm gonna answer with a brand that I did have one or two from and then kind of lost interest in, and now I'm kind of interested to get into it again, and that is Chanel. A lot of you guys have asked me if I have any of the Chanel quads, and I believe I had a couple single shadows from Chanel. I didn't really use them though, and then I think I had one quad way back in the day, but that is a brand that I feel like needs a bit of a refresh. Maybe that's just me, but I think it's very, I don't know, it's really old school looking, even to this day. That might be the reason why people still love it. But to me, it would be kind of interesting to see a bit of a refresh with some of their eyeshadows. I personally think that the little, like Tom Ford has the same thing. It's these guys, the little like brushes that come at the bottom. I don't think anybody uses those at this point, unless you're really in a rush and grabbing and putting a palette on super quick. But those little like sponge applicators that are still in the Chanel quads are a little bit kind of outdated. I really would love to look into that brand again, but I would like your help as to which palette I should start with because I don't want to waste my money. Chanel is still a high-end brand, and I do want to try a few of them that you think actually deliver with pigmentation and actually like best value for money, essentially. So let me know down below. I would love to check out that brand again for eyeshadows. Hope you really enjoyed this tag, guys. I thought it was really fun to create, and until my next one, take care. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, guys.
You and me, everything that we've been through has made us strong. You won't believe we've had our gray, but somewhere there's a light inside of us. It shows the way.